All right, now we move on to the Phoenix Awards, and I'm representing the Goose Picture Award. And the first thing I'd like to do is to announce the winners for next year, and then I will give my introduction for Molly Bang, and she has a lovely slide presentation for us. So, as we announced at the business meeting, where some of you may have missed it, the winner for next year is Tell Me a Season by Mary McKenna Siddles and Petra Mathers. And this is the little description that we have put together. A lyric picture book for the very young, Tell Me a Season presents three linked concepts: colors, time of day, and seasons, that move its readers through its graceful design and pacing to an affecting conclusion. The book exemplifies the merits of simplicity and judicious combination of word and image, detail and panorama in four symmetrical, temporal, and poetic visual verbal vignettes anchored in a single setting over the course of a year. Each of the four come together as an aesthetically pleasing and satisfying book that relates the representative activities of two country children, their cat and dog, and one other creature per season. The few declarative or descriptive words direct attention to the specific conceptual details, while the pictures convey the greater particulars of human and animal inhabitants' activities. The bareness in image and text, which is more akin to stark vulnerability, combined with the use of color, is rich and reflective. And the honor book is One Grain of Rice, A Mathematical Tale by Demi. Inspired by Indian miniature paintings, Demi's modern visual verbal retelling of this Indian folktale is enriched by reds, purples, and golds. These colors denote both royalty and the cleverness and wisdom of Rani, the village girl who restores justice. The dominance of gold leaf is tastefully balanced by the use of white space, which serves to pace the unfolding story in its pages, comprised of well-placed text blocks and framed pictures, and to highlight the elements that dynamically exceed their frames. Rani is the queen of mathematics and its irrefutable logic made manifest on the fold-out pages. So, think about those books and read more about them next year at the next fabulous Phoenix panel. Now on to the celebrations for this year, 2016. Molly Bang has had a lifelong fascination with languages, science, travel, and illustration. These interests came about in part through exposure. Her mother worked in medical illustration, and her father was a doctor, and as a child she spent summers out of doors in Woods Hole, Massachusetts, where she still spends time out of doors these days. She has worked in journalism as an interpreter and lived in Japan, India, and Mali. Among her main concerns are the state of the environment and American children's lack of knowledge about the basic scientific principles, concerns she has sought to address in many of her 30-some picture books. Many of these books have garnered recognition, and in the mix of awards there are 4 Caldecott Honors, a Kate Greenaway Honor, the Jane Addams Peace Award, and now, of course, the Phoenix Picture Book Award for her 1996 book, Goose, that she thought had been long forgotten. Given her body of work and recognition, it may come as a surprise to find out that about midway through her publishing career, a friend informed her that she clearly didn't understand how pictures work. Since she agreed with this assessment, though she'd been drawing all her life, she undertook intensive study, teaching, and experimentation with construction paper cutouts using folktales. The result, focused on the tale of Red Riding Hood, is the all-important book, Picture This, How Pictures Work, which Brian Selznick calls the strunk and white of visual literacy. And Noam Chomsky calls imaginative and impressive. The same can be said about her insightful little book, Goose, a reversion of Anderson's The Ugly Duckling that is well suited to the 21st century. A quiet and inspiring book, Goose is the charming and humorous tale of a goose egg hatched and raised in a family of woodchucks. The clever and varied use of frames and layouts, which just happened to be a perfect thematic fit for this conference, and particularly the nuanced use of white space, my favorite being the birch trees that also serve as gutters and remind me of Tove Jansson's use of thematically fitting details, such as paintbrushes to separate the panels. This use of white space combined with the earth and water-based color palette and wonderfully textured pictures deepens the appreciation for the natural environment of the setting and the social commentary in this animal fable of self-acceptance. Tonight we are proud to honor Goose and its creator. We heard 2 fine presentations on Molly's books as part of the Phoenix panel this afternoon, and now look forward to hearing what inspired the story and its format. Let us demonstrate our hearty congratulations from the committee and the membership with a welcoming round of applause to the 2016 Phoenix Picture Book Award winner, Molly Beck. Sorry, I'm a math teacher.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Christy. And thank you, Elisa. I was so thunderstruck when I received this award. The history of Goose is that my first royalty check for it was $35,000. I was thunderstruck by that, as you can imagine. My second royalty check was for minus $1,500. So apparently, so it fell into a hole. It fell into an abyss, it disappeared, and nobody bought it anymore. So you can imagine how confused I was when I got the award. But thank you all for deciding this. I still remain completely confused, but we'll talk about this tonight. I did write the book for my daughter, who is Bengali, and she was going to college, and in a sense this is what I'd always wanted to say to her, but hadn't figured out a way to say. And so, and I also called her my goose. I call her Goose, and a lot of other things. So I'm going to go through the book and tell you about decisions I made and why I thought about how I made the book. No, Kristen? As many, it's really happenstance that this is a comic book conference based on comic books, because I was really impressed by Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud. And once I read it, I decided to use his ideas of how you use transitions from one little square to the little rectangle to the next, and see if I could do it in a picture book. So comics are sequential art, usually with frames, and they're useful for showing emotion. So the books that I'm going to show you bits of in this to show his transitions are something called Goodbye Chunky Rice, Cerebus, if nobody knows Cerebus, you should know it. It is one of the most extraordinary collections of, by a man who was amazing, who decided at age something like 20 that he was going to do volumes, like 50 volumes about this one aardvark, and he would end it with the aardvark's death, unloved and unbemoaned. The third one is City of Glass, and the fourth one is the Buddha series by Tezuka. So, McCloud talks about transitions from one to the next, and one is moment to moment. Here's another moment to moment. So you see the same person doing a variety of actions in one after the other, bump, 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 but it's the same person. Then there's action to action, moving, gets on the horse, goes, there's, now it's stopped again. Now I'll try this one. Now I'll try this one again. Okay, these are subject to subject. As you can see, there's the guy in the fell into the pool, and now you see him, and then you see him being attacked by the other subjects, the crocodiles. Yes. Another subject to subject, so a person being chased by another person, back and forth. Next. The person versus the warriors. Next. The general versus the warriors. And then scene to scene of the same something happening at the same time, but different aspects of the scene. Next. And aspect to aspect, which is the most interesting to me, of something's happening and you see all sorts of different reactions within that happening, within that same moment. Within one moment, you see different aspects of the situation. Next. Another one, different aspects of the same situation. You look up in the sky, you look down in the sea. Next. Then there's what I really also love is structural play in comics. And Cerebus Sims is just amazing at this. Next. So there's this one. So you see the smoke going up at the same time you see different aspects from the boat. You see that one where the smoke traverses three different rectangles. Next. This one, you're looking at a guy through the window who's drawing on his notebook, and then on the other side you've got exactly the same 9 rectangles, so it's fun to see what you can do with the 9 rectangles in different ways. Next. This one, the person got so angry and smashed so hard that they broke the rectangular structures and they broke apart the whole frame. Next. And this one, it's a single, this happened in Japanese and Chinese scrolls a lot. So you've got a single character climbing up the same cliff, but you see the transition of the character. Next. And here the fish is falling and falls in a 3 split. Next. I love this one. You both see, you see the way that the words are used inside of squares that are reminiscent of the panels, sort of the roofs of these windows, and the person falling and falling through the squares, through the windows, through everything. It's an amazing piece of work. Next. So that's it. Okay, I think can I do it? I'll try to do it now. So here's Goose. And here's the opening page of a bunch of eggs in a nest. And it's to my goose. On a dreadfully dark and stormy night. So it does start out as a very typical picture book, dark and stormy night, or a typical, I don't know, like folktale. Notice that I was really interested in the frame as well as in the inside picture and wanted to play with that a bunch. So an egg was blown out of its nest. It rolled and rolled and rolled. So now you've got the rain in the nest, but going out into the frame, whereas the frame used to be just covered with rain. And it rolled and rolled and rolled down a deep, deep hole until it landed in a den of woodchucks. So here you've got the action to action all inside of one page. I got worried when somebody was recognized for how to use anthropomorphism or misuse anthropomorphism in children's books, and I'm kind of wondering about whether I did this correctly, but I have to say that one of the things that I found out, we had woodchucks in the yard. These are sweet woodchucks, and I don't know why I made them so sweet. The whole summer that I was drawing this book, they were invading and eating everything in the garden. I wanted nothing more than a .22 to shoot them. Smashing them on the head and blood spurting out of their heads. It was very sweet in the book, and this was some blockage of feelings. But woodchucks have a special toilet, and that's in they have a special area of their dens that is a toilet. And they also have a couple of exits, so that if you try to smoke them out and poison them in one end, they can always escape through some other exit. And this book shows the dad and the mom together as a happy family, but dads leave as soon as mom has babies, because otherwise he will destroy them, probably. So there is that aspect of anthropomorphism that is not true to the actual So the frame here, notice that the rain is finished over here, and the sun is, the clouds are, the sky is black. And the baby goose hatches out. And now dawn is dawning. So here it was also, this is action to action, I guess is what you'd say. And I did it, the baby goose was adored by her new brothers and sisters, by her new mom and papa, who taught her everything they thought a youngster should know. So I put that in the form of a scrapbook with the little rectangles that way. And that little goose learned very, very well. But the goose was often sad. She felt different from everyone else, and nothing could make her feel better. So I emphasized her separateness by putting her on a separate page from the others. And I must say, adopted children certainly do have this. All of us have it at one time or another in our lives, but adopted children have it maybe more than others. Her family tried to make her happy, but they couldn't. So here she's completely outside of the frame. Her friends tried to make her happy, but they couldn't. And this is aspect to aspect, so that as she's floating down, and she's obviously older now, a full-grown goose, or certainly an old adolescent goose, she's floating down instead of swimming, which is what she's very capable of doing. And she, up above them is the moon, and then there are the woods all around them with the fireflies. She's looking down at her friends, the rabbit and the little mouse, and down at the water with the leaf in it. So the goose set off into the world to see what she could figure out by herself, and here you see the tree used as a separator between the pictures as a white separator. And things only got worse and worse. And it was fun to get, the closer in you got to her, then the frame disappeared, so that in a sense you're in the picture now. You're with her. All alone the goose felt sadder and sadder. She was lonely, or she was so lonely. She didn't notice where she was going. She lost her footing and fell, but here's the help of an editor. So we'll go back to this. Flying to stay aloft, she flailed and flapped her wings and found out she could fly. But we'll go back to this one. She didn't notice where she was going. She lost her footing and fell. If I had the book to do over again, I would make that rectangle that's up and down, I would put it in an angle instead of, that way it would have emphasized the falling better. But what the editor here said is, wait a second, she falls too fast. You need to slow that motion down. So she made me have another picture, an intervening picture, down, down, down she dropped, falling toward the ocean below. So it's a stop action in a way. And so then this is, I don't know if it's two aspects of the same thing, but the feather that floats, which she should be able to do, and doesn't, because she doesn't know that she can, and she falls. So that editors make a huge difference if you really have a good editor. I think this really made a difference in the way the book worked. Now, fighting to stay aloft, she flailed and flapped her wings and found out she could fly. So she flew and flew and flew, and there she is coming home, coming closer, all the way home. And I wanted to show, obviously in this book, that she's not going home to a family full of Canada geese, she's going home to the family that raised her, like Horton hatches the egg. Horton was the mom, dad. So, of Maisie. You know that Goose surprised everyone, especially herself, as you all totally surprised me with the Goose.